Welcome back to the show. Very good morning. Hi there. This is Gilbert here on TRAXXfm. And as you know, different days, different themes on Momentum. And today's topic, well, health on tracks. Today we'll be focusing on this particular topic. Don't neglect food safety during flood situations that we have in the country. Now, as you know, certain states are facing the monsoon or terribly facing flood situations in the country, and especially in the East Coast side, northern states, southern states. And today we'll be talking to our guests in the studio, Health on Tracks. Very important topic, especially during the monsoon season. Now, just to let you know that floods are common in parts of Malaysia, and this is during the annual monsoon season. Now, from November right up till forecasted to be till next year, March, and that's what the meteorological department has to say. Now, Met Malaysia has said that the country can expect between 5 and 7 episodes of heavy rainfall during this particular period from now till March, forecasted till March next year, and with several states badly affected by floods and flood alerts issued in some places given heavy conditions when it comes to rain or weather forecasts. Now, it is very important that we ensure food contamination does not happen, especially in the PPS, which is the temporary evacuation centers. So today we'll be talking to our guests in the studios. It's nice to have Mr. Shanmugam Supramanium, who is the Senior Principal Assistant Director, Food Safety and Quality Program, Ministry of Health. A very good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Very good morning. And then I guess it's a raining day again.
Yes, it is. Again, the monsoon.
Yeah.
And I think this time around we had one of the worst. I think there was at least about 90 over 1,000 people in the East Coast side, right? That was relocated.
Yes.
And could I address you as
Shan will be easier.
Shan will be easier, right? Okay, so talking to our guests in the studio, we have Shan. As you know, that monsoon season, and we did have one of the biggest amount of people that has been relocated to the temporary evacuation centers, and especially when you are in a temporary evacuation center, food is the most what should I say, item that has to be taken care of.
Yes.
Before you get into further issues when it comes to your health. So today's topic, don't neglect food safety during floods. And well, we would like to start off just to get to know Shan. Shan, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Senior Principal Assistant Director, Food Safety and Quality Program in the Ministry of Health. So how has that been for you?
First of all, I think we should thanks to TRAXXfm to invite us, Food Safety and Quality Division.
Thank you.
And the Ministry of Health to have this discussion. Actually, it's a discussion. We share the knowledge, and then some of the tips that how as a consumer or as a victim center, how we need to give a focus on this food safety, because. Right. Flood is not it's not an entertainment center, okay. Yes. And then these things is happen, even we predict, okay, we are predicting, because every year, end of the year we will have this raining season, but as you said just now, I guess this time is quite bad,
right,
and then quite severe. Then so that's why I said for Ministry of Health, we must take that this flood, because this water is, even the rain is, you can take it as a clear, rain, but when it's become a flood, so this flood bringing all type of dirt, chemical, sewage, contamination, and we must take it. This is one of the serious hazard that we are facing now.
Right. Very important. Yes. And Shan, could you just explain to us why is food safety especially critical during when it comes to the monsoon and flood situations that we have?
Okay, because when usual in a common days in our home, we can practice very good food hygiene practices. Let's say we can have a clean water, we can use a very clean and safe raw materials.
Right.
Even fridge, you can buy your perishable items, you keep in a very good condition. But when flood, here facing the flood, this flood water bring all sort of chemicals, debris, and then all type of chemicals is there. So
Right.
it's purely the water is dirty water, and
Okay.
you are exposed to all kind of hazards,
Right.
chemical hazard, toxic hazard. So if we never keep this food in a very good and a proper condition, so once we consume this type of a food, I'm very sure it's give a very bad implication on food safety as well as the risk of health.
Okay. How about giving us some tips that probably we could avoid situations like this?
Okay, for avoid, yes, flood is there. We cannot run away for flood, but we need to prepare ourselves. First
Right.
of all, for a family member, we need to educate our family members first.
Okay.
Okay, we can divide to three main part whereby one is we know already towards end of the year will be hazard, will be a rain, the flood possibility is there. So we need to prepare ourselves. So maybe we can for that particular month you must in terms of your groceries, okay, more focus on this non-perishable like packet drinks, packet milk, so that will be better. And then this how you going to taking care of your perishable items in your fridge, because once floods, electricity shortage will happen there,
Right.
and then you cannot keep your perishable items. So these are the things that you need to early prepare.
Right.
Okay, and then
Okay.
while we are facing flood, then it's the big major of food safety concern is there. Okay, first of all, we must make sure that whatever water and raw material we are using for cooking, let's say we are already shift to victim center, okay,
Okay.
education center for a while, then we must have our awareness there. That means all the raw material, water, we must make sure it's very clean.
Right.
And then sometimes we Malaysian, we have this kind of like gotong royong. Okay, we are cook in a gotong royong concept, but at least we must give some basic knowledge about this food safety to the people involved in this gotong royong to prepare the food. So you must make sure your personal hygiene is there. You keep on clean your hand before you handling the food, and then you must make sure the raw material is in a very good condition, because another good part for Malaysian is our culture. Whenever there's something happen, each and everyone try to contribute their help. Okay, even
Right.
same for this
Right.
flood. So people, and let's say we have a center in Kelantan, people from Penang, people from Johor, they try to contribute something. Let's say they contribute food for you. So this food, they will bring the food, and then will allocate the food in the center.
Right.
And then the team in center, they will take this food for a cooking purpose. So for this team, you must check the food first, the raw material first. Is that the raw material still in a very good condition or not? Because the person who donate, maybe it's not to say he donate the next moment he will reach the food. Okay,
Right.
maybe
Took a couple of days.
couple of the days, then you reach. So you must check the food, what the condition of the food. Let's say
Right.
for a can, you must can, the can is not banned, the condition of the food can is very good. You buy packed food, the packed food is still, the packaging is intact or not. So these are the basic things that you need to make sure before you start your cooking.
Okay.
And then while cooking as well, for cooking when we cook at home, we can clean our utensils. That means you have a very clean utensil. But here, water become a major issue now.
Right.
So you must use clean water to clean your utensil, so that you will have a clean utensil. Maybe while you cook, you have a heat, but when you serve with the plate you won't do any
It's been
heat treatment.
contaminated,
Yes.
yes.
So it's worry of the cross contamination. So these are the things that regularly you must make sure, and then if possible there is a team monitor. And then another important thing is this food, if possible, cook in a sufficient numbers of volume, because we don't want the food left over. Because in center sometimes
Right.
why this thing is important, because sometimes in the center the family think that the food won't be enough, it won't sufficient, so they will take a quite big number, the volume. Okay, they will get big numbers, and then they will keep from morning till night.
Okay.
So how are you going to control the freshness of the food? So our worry is, if the food you keep in a very long period without temperature control, then we're going to face a food safety issue. So that's why we keep on remind to the centers, the food which you give to the victims there, make sure is don't be oversupply, because our worry, if they eat at that moment, it's safe. But if they keep the food for longer period, you cook in the morning and then you're going to have it late evening, then it's a risk of the foodborne disease.
Right. That's very, very important. Now, just to let our listeners know, we happen to be on our social media platforms, TikTok and YouTube, it's TRAXXfm Official, and on Facebook, it is TRAXXfm. So if you probably have any questions that we'd like to put on to Shan right here in the studios, well, you could do so. And thank you so much to my producers in the studios with me. We've got Zam, we've got Achu, who will be helping us out with your questions. Now, Shan did explain to us how important the freshness of food should be served to victims in our PPS, temporary evacuation centers. And sometimes when food is being prepared in the earlier part of the day, and if it's kept too long,
Yes.
you can have staleness can happen, and this is where you might get infected with bacteria, so on and so forth, especially rice or probably vegetables that are not fresh or something like that. Or even maybe like what Shan did say, that certain tin cans, okay, having checked the whether it's dented or anything like that, it could be rust inside. I don't know. Not only for people who are helping out PPS, which is temporary evacuation centers within the country, but I also read an article yesterday that we even had a flight coming in from Pakistan to help us out. And thank you so much to Pakistan for being there for our flood victims. So it's very, very important, especially when it comes to food and how it is handled. So that's what Mr. Shanmugam is explaining to us. Now, he is the Senior Principal Assistant Director, Food Safety and Quality Program, Ministry of Health. So explaining the very basic about the tips on how to have your food safe before consuming in PPSs. That's temporary evacuation centers. Shan, what should people do with food that has been exposed to flood waters? Now, we talk about the prevention part of it. What happens if there is a situation like this? The food has been exposed.
Okay, food when exposed, okay, because in food safety we cannot take risk.
Okay.
Because we don't know how our body going to accept. Okay, sometimes by we can look the person is very healthy person, but is that your body able to absorb if there is any food safety incident? Because it's depend on the likelihood and your severity. Okay, so these two things. So my advice, personal advice, if we aware that the food is contaminated with the flood water, don't take. That is the most important thing.
Full stop.
Full stop. Don't take. It's a full stop. And then because even canned food for say canned food, because we don't know, we cannot identify how long the food is exposed to this flood water. If there is any micro leakage. Okay. So if there is any micro, because if the leakage is quite big, as we said, that like dented, we know already it's
dented. Yeah.
We can observe and then we can make a decision. But if there is a micro leak, for sure our naked eye we cannot identify if there is a micro leak. So please don't take risk. Okay, because maybe today the food is okay. Once you keep 1-2 days, the spoilage inside. So once you open, maybe your kids, they won't know whether the food is good or not. So if they consume, then it's a very high or risk on this food safety.
Right.
And again, another important thing that we highlight to food safety and quality division, usually we highlight, is not just for this flood situation, but whenever you have food. So these 3 steps that you should implement or you should try to practice, we call as a lihat, idu, rasa. That means
Lihat, see,
hidu, smell, and then taste. Rasa.
taste,
Taste.
not gobble.
Not eat. Okay, taste.
Okay, taste.
So these 3 things become our biggest element. We try to deliver this message to the entire consumer.
Right.
Okay, to the entire consumer. Basically, or the most important is the children's. Because for children, it's very hard for them to define whether the product is safe or not, in a very good condition or not. Because for them, visual become a major role whether they're going to consume or not.
Right.
Okay,
right.
so that's why I said for lihat, see the food, whether the food is in a common condition or not, whether any unusual things there or not. Like let's say you buy a white bread, if there is a mole, you can see the green spot. That means the bread is already spoiled. So please don't take. Okay.
Right.
And then for a hidu smell, you smell the food. Okay, if let's say for the bread, is a common smell, or is any different in terms of the smell, then you can do a simple decision whether you want to consume or not. And then again, rasa means you just a bit taste the food. Okay, taste the food. Is the taste is the common normal taste or not? If you feel that is something not same or something different, so try avoid that type of the food. So these are the steps we can minimize the gap of food safety incidents.
Okay, so this is applying to children and also elderly people, and it's
Yes.
very important, especially kids and maybe elderly people. Probably they cannot see well. You might have that issue. So I think how is this addressed in PPS or something like that? How do you make sure that the elderly and the children are safe?
So that's why in PPS we advise the PPS centers for elderly people. We try to focus on this non-perishable item. For example, milk, pasteurized milk.
Right,
In a box, and then cereal type of food. So these are the food whereby we able to reduce the chances of food poisoning.
Right.
And then make sure the most important thing, because we cannot at each every time we cannot give the same food. They also common
Variety,
people, they need a variety.
Yeah.
So when come to the variety, make sure all this food, the most important is the temperature control. Yes, we are aware that in that center is difficult.
It could be hot,
Yes.
humid. Yeah.
Yes. So we try our best to make sure this food always kept in a right, or I can put it as in a hot temperature, so that we can reduce the foodborne, especially in a microbe contamination.
Right, very important. Just one last question here, Shan, just before we take a short break. What food or eatable items are suitable for distribution at flood victim centers or PPS?
For PPS, as I mentioned earlier, it's good the food in a proper packaging, and we try to avoid perishable item. For example, chicken, meat. It's not to say no. It's not to say cannot. Can,
All right.
provided the condition of storage must be proper. That means if you want to bring meat items, if you want to donate your meat item, chicken item, or frozen item. So for these particular items is high protein items, whereby the temperature control is very important. So if any disruption of temperature, it exposed to the microbe contamination. That's why if you really want to give these high protein items, welcome. But please make sure the temperature control is there. And the best is all the non-perishable, all in a well canned packed food will be easier. And this stuff, the food easier to handle in the centers.
Okay, like especially having the right minerals, protein and things like that, and trying to find different ways of having these items in the centers would be very important. Replacement for chicken, you need to find something else that will provide you with the protein. So things like that is very important, especially during the flood situation that we have here in the country. Taking a short break right here, and just to let our listeners know, we are live on TikTok and also on YouTube. That's TRAXXfm official, and on Facebook. It is TRAXXfm. Stay tuned right here. Don't neglect food safety during flood, as we have it hit the country from now, probably goes on till next year, March. And talking to Shanmugam Supramanium, who is the Senior Principal Assistant Director, Food Safety and Quality Program, Ministry of Health. A very important topic on Health on Traxx. We'll be back in a bit. Stay tuned. This is TRAXXfm. Good morning. Welcome back to the show with my producer Archu together with Zam in the studios. And yes, we are live on TikTok and also on YouTube. That's TRAXXfm official. And on Facebook, it is TRAXXfm. Today, topic on health on tracks. Don't neglect food safety during flood. And as you know, that we are in the monsoon season, anticipated from now till March. And talking to our guests in the studios, Health on Traxx, Shanmugam Supramanium, who is the Senior Principal Assistant Director, Food Safety and Quality Program, Ministry of Health. And yes, we did have very interesting questions put on to Shan in the studio. Thank you so much for being with us here in the studio, sir. And we were talking about the food safety, especially in critical situations in temporary evacuation centers. This is where probably most food poisoning can occur, and we don't want this to happen. So we are talking to Shan in the studios, and how do we avoid this? And probably also a few tips that you can have probably at home, and things like that. Shan, can we get back to more of our questions here? Shan, how can flood victim centers or the PPS prevent foodborne illness outbreaks?
Okay, for Food Safety and Quality Division, Ministry of Health, okay, we well prepare with this flood issue, okay, because it's something that, yes, usually it's depend on how severe is, yes, but we know that every year, end of the year, we're going to facing this flood issue. And then for our side, we have some programs, our preparedness to face this flood issue.
Okay.
That means we will have our programs, continuous programs, and then our awareness information through our Facebook website, and then social media. So we carry on that. And again, when come to this flood center, we try to give some awareness to the center management first. Okay,
right.
Because
Very
at least you have some basic understanding on this food handling when you are facing with the flood, because you will have this shortage of facilities.
Okay.
Okay, you will have this shortage of facilities because maybe you don't have a facility to store your perishable items. You don't have this good storage like fridge or the cold freezer to keep your product in the freezing temperature. So we must give awareness to this management team how you going to handle this, because here the most important question is the perishable item, because canned food is low risk, acceptable. Only thing you taken care where to storage, how to storage, when you use, how to use. Okay, but this perishable item is very important because once is contaminated, and if it's not cooked well, the possibility of foodborne disease is very high. You are totally exposed to the food risk. So that's why the food must cook in a right temperature. The distribution of the food must be within a short time period. Don't keep the food for a long period. And then, as I mentioned, frequently we advise to the consumer, you must have these 3 steps. That means lihat, hidu, and rasa before you consume your product. And then we aware that in these centers, people will move forward to help these victims by, voluntarily they come and cook, voluntarily they prepare the food. So we must make sure that this team have at least basic knowledge, as well as if there is good, if there is another party, monitor the food safety. Okay,
right. Very
then
important.
we can achieve a very high hygiene practice even in the center itself.
But what about water, Shan? How do we watch that part of it? Food part, yeah.
That's why I said water. If water you want or not, for sure we cannot use the flood water.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
You must use clean water. You must know from where the source of water. Okay. Sometimes it's supply in a drums for you. Maybe there's a good hard people, volunteers, sponsors, they will come. So if you know purely the source of water, for example, bottled water is really kept, water is safe.
Make sure the seal is
yes, intact. Okay. But if you receive the water in a drums, you don't know where the source of the water.
Right.
Okay, so please boil the water before you use.
Okay.
Okay, please boil the water.
That is very important. Common signs of foodborne illness. How do we manage that?
Common sign, yes, fever, vomit, headache, So these are the common things. But it depends on the severity. Okay, and if you have in the center, you have a very bad stomach ache, so please get to the right people, check with the medical team, and then get advice from the medical team. And here, don't take easy, because foodborne disease, especially like in these centers, because sometimes maybe the food is, everything is okay. Okay, the food is you consume the food in a very hot temperature, but the surrounding can contribute for a food safety, because the surrounding is not clean.
Right.
You are placed in maybe you are placed in some place whereby our focus there is totally different. We are taking care of these victims, and then maybe in terms of the hygiene part, slightly diluted. Okay, so we must prepare to take the challenge, and we must prepare ourselves to be clean. The most important, every moment, try your best to wash your hand before handle a food, wash your hand before consume the food.
Very important. Yes, these are very common practices that I think everybody uses when it comes to food. Not necessarily in PPS, but also at home, in restaurants, and so on and so forth. Shan, just one last question before we wrap up our interview of the day. Is there anything that you would like to say to our listeners or the public?
Okay, for the public, Food Safety and Quality Division program under Ministry of Health, we have a lot of information in our website, in our social media. Please go through the information. You can get the information from there, and be prepared. So that is the most important thing. And then again, my humble request: don't take food safety as easy as it is.
Right.
Because the risk is very severe. So we need to prepare ourselves. At least have some basic knowledge on this. Food safety.
Don't take it lightly. And as what Shan said, very important is see, smell, and taste.
Yes.
Very important before you indulge yourself with your food. Thank you so much, Shan. Thank you so much for being here with us. And it is nice to see that the Ministry of Health and their programs that they are doing to put awareness in the public. Thank you once again for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
All right. And don't neglect food safety during floods. Very important. We are talking to our guest in the studio, Shanmugam Supramanium, who's the Senior Principal Assistant Director, Food Safety and Quality Program, Ministry of Health, and especially during times like this, the monsoon season, which is anticipated to go on till next year, March. Please, 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 please take care of yourself wherever you are, not only by being safe on the roads, but also when it comes to your food intake. That's very, very important, and stay safe wherever you are, whatever you do. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Back to more music. I'll be back right after the midday news right here on TRAXXfm. To my producers, Achu and Zam, thank you so much. And to our listeners who just happen to be on our social media platform, TikTok, YouTube, TRAXXfm Official, Facebook, TRAXXfm. Thank you. Stay tuned.